Out.
I'm hanging out for dear life. What are you doing? I'm going to die of old age. Oh, yeah, wait, that's what you want around the corpse? What kind of morbid person are you?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Bill. Oh. Where's my money? Get my money.
Yeah, bro. Hey, I paid for a shirt, you know.
Hey, Bill, charge money for that. $10 a hug.
No, I want you in the back of my van.
25 for the selfie.
Andy, this is my youngest son, Chris. I don't think you've met him.
Chris.
How are you? Patty. My wife, Kathy. And you've met Brian.
And then Eric is behind you. Eric's behind you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm coming around to sit in my chair.
His son.
Streetwear. Blue FT Cruiser.
Okay, I'm gonna change.
Cool.
I'll see you up there.
No, stay the same. You're a nice guy. Don't change at all.
Good seeing your brother, man.
Oh, yeah.
We hooked up a little later on. He's a famous guy.
Hey, no. I'm so glad to see you, man. You know, I was thinking, somebody asked me, they go, if there were to be a statue here at Winnesee, who would it be? I said, well, besides me. Yeah, of course. It would be you. Look at this. Carl. You know, it would be like, you know, the guy, let's say maybe, no, forget that shit. No, I'd say like Nelson and Ekstrom, kind of drops down to Art. Well, guys go, what did it take to be in the Winnesee Surf Club? I said, you had to know how to drink, you had to know how to fight, you had to know how to surf, you had to chase chicks, and you can't be over the age of 25. Richard Munson. You know, I know those guys.
I know.
That next picture,
No, you know what?
this is part of it, you know. This is out of my...
Oh, here we go.
I'm a mat surfing guy. I used to be. I'm a board guy now. That's my first two-man tour. George and I used to do Boomer.
You did not.
Yes, we did. Before you started surfing.
Show me a photo of you at Boomer.
I can't. That's the closest I can get.
Well, so you didn't go, you weren't there. Cody, you know,
See,
you're such a jive ass.
but that's why I keep coming back to you to get more jive.
You guys have been the same since day one.
But, you know, it's all from the heart.
Who can spew more bullshit?
It's going to get thicker down the line here. So I'm going to...
That's right. No, that hurts my feelings.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
I'm here for the food and look at the wind.
Take your hands off of me, man.
Look at the wind.
Because I'm a goofy foot, I have a t-shirt in my car I just bought. I walked it all the way back so I could have spare hands to show you.
You know,
You've made my day.
well, you know, I tell people all the time about, you know, the way things kind of used to be.
Yes.
And see, guys like you are, there's no more. I don't think, you know, you and Larry Crow doing oh, look out. Now I'm really getting the
I get a hard on you.
no, I've always had one. I've been,
How do you feel? You're not in any pain, are you?
somewhere in my body there is, but I don't tell you where it is.
I want to hug
There's Billy.
I'm just the guy. No, they want you.
Yeah, Bill, go down.
Bill, they want you.
Get down.
Let's
go.
I know you are. Good seeing you too.
Come on,
Hey, Paul, you're even here. I thought, oh no, not you. No, stay away from me. You hacked me so many times.
Oh, I never hacked you.
Hey, Bill, no off-roading this time. Can you head down to Chip?
All right, let's go. The bird.
Where's my kid?
The bird.
Hey, man, you guys. Hey.
Christmas is he could have been here, so he said send your love.
We need Bill Andrews this way.
God, I'm getting these. Stand back.
Bill, just run people over like you
Let's go,
always do.
Bill.
One side. Run him off. Run him over. I want better insurance.
Okay, everybody, please vibrate in front of the grill.
Which side? All right.
We're gonna try and get him down here this way.
Okay, look out.
Come on, Billy.
Out of the way, Bill Andrews. He will hit you.
Give him a white bird. Hey, the first guy I wanted to see was you. I wanted to tell you that I had nothing to do with inviting you before this other meeting.
It's all good.
Is it? Okay, the only thing I was concerned about was
I want you to have a nice day.
Myers, man, and he's going to kick my ass if he thinks I invited people from all over. All these times I'm getting beat up.
Hey man, you know what? Love your energy, you always have. I'm your biggest fan, dude. Straight up. Thanks for being one of my fans.
He will run you over. Get out of his way. Bill Andrews is motorized and dangerous.
That's like a gauntlet.
No off-roading, Dad.
We're getting over.
Well, you know what?
It's gonna get dark out. Hey, you want to fuck with us? Play with that thing right there. Give us a salute one time, will you? All right, man, keep it moving.
You guys haven't seen me forever.
Okay, Bill. Come on. Come on, Bill.
Bill, right here.
Bill, is that the move?
We're gonna shove you off the cliff now.
Somebody has it. I don't even know. You got a standard. How about against the wall? Bill, stand up. Hey, good job. I'll tell you when to stop. Good job. About 10 feet. Reverse.
Miss Morris!
We got 2 feet. You got about a mile. All right, over here. This way.
Bill,
Over here.
Scott Cherry wanted me to tongue pitch you. Spin it this way a little bit.
Tell Scott to bring his own tongue. He said he wants to tongue pitch you.
Go ahead. No, you do it. Get in there. Get down in front. Short guys in front. Small guys in front. I'm over there. Hey, Steve. I know. All right, how we doing here? Club members! Here we go, guys. Rugby player. That's what take it out of
telling you, brother, does not allow you guys to surf. Don't freak out. We know. We bury the hatchet maybe a few hours, but after that, it's over. You know, you can get away with take advantage of it now before
was built. That used to be nothing but dirt trails. We'd take our scramblers up there, go to the end of the little boulevard there at Claremont Drive, hop over the fence, and there was this commotion, all these trails, but there's this one hill. Everyone's there looking and looking, trying to make it up to the top of the hill. And I hear the name Pink Bod's doing it. Here's Bill Andrews. He's got his Gucci little European Bull Taco scrambler. We all had little Yamaha Twins and Honda 50s. He's jacked up. He's the only one that can make it to the top of the hill. Made it up there. So he did more than just surf. He was a scrambler. And then, you know, when the wind from the south stops blowing, they always end up down in PB. He ended up at the PB Surf Shop, working for Gordon Smith. I think one of the classic signs of all time back in the day was you get caught shoplifting, you got two choices. The man or a haircut. He had the scissors out ready to go. I think that's the only time the inventory ever matched what they took. There's no stealing it. Wild Bill Road Herd. Now, there's the key to the city. There's the key to our hearts. But who's held the best key of all time for the longest time? The key to blacks. Bill Andrews. I know there was guys used to hide at the top of the hill waiting for his van, that big green van to come and then hop on the bumper and get a free ride down with him. But anyway, BA, you are loved. Always will be, always have been. And I think we got to give a little hubba, huh? BA.
Hubba, hubba!
All right, so I'm gonna jump in real quick on the black story because I've had the privilege of being in the water with Bill too many mornings. Anyway, so real quick, I'm gonna tell the story. Why does Bill have the Black's key? So I know the story because he told me. So when Bill was a kid,
He lied.
he could have lied, but this one sounded legit. When Bill was a kid, Blackie used to pay him, used to give him a BB gun to go and shoot the rattlesnakes on the horse trails before he sent the rides out in the morning.
Dirty old dog.
And just keeping it real short. Hey, go back to the shores, you fucking kneeboarding fucking kook.
Okay, true story. So, in 1971 when I moved here, I tried to get a surfboard. John Foster didn't really have any, and I just wanted to get a board. And so I walked into PB Surf Shop, and who was there? It's Bill Andrews. And I'm kind of looking around, and he goes, "What do you want? What are you looking for?" He goes, I said, "Well, I just moved here. I need a surfboard." And he goes, "Where'd you just move here from?" I said, "Brazil." And he said, "Where are you planning on surfing?" I said, "Well, I was hoping Windansea and maybe La Jolla Shores." He goes, "I'm not selling you a board. Get out of here." And it's been a love affair ever since.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, you won't recognize me. I'm from La Jolla Shores, Henry Hester. I don't belong here. I've only surfed Windansea 30 times in my life. I've been surfing 55 years. I got a quick story about Bill. You know, Hodakas only came in red. And it's kind of like Hank Warner. Hodakas came in red. And who had one? Bill did. Bill lived right across the street from La Jolla Shores parking lot. And that guy could get on that Hodaka and pop a frickin' stand-up wheelie. First guy I've ever seen in my life do it, other than Pete Filan on his Stingray. Pete Filan, remember him on the Stingray? He could do multiple pedals. He wouldn't even have to count the pedals. He could just keep going and going. Anyway, Bill would launch that Hodaka in the third row at La Jolla Shores parking lot all the way down to the very end, and that's why I'm so impressed with him. Wheelie guy.
Billy? So the first time I met you was in 1969. Nobody would talk to me down at the beach. You came up to me and grabbed my board. I lost it and handed it back to me and said, "Man, this is the beach for everybody." And fast forward many years. 2009, I had some big medical problems. Never thought I'd surf again. And you came up to me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, "I can't surf. I can't get up on my board." And you said, "Al, that's bullshit, man. Come on down to Windansea, meet me down here at 6 in the morning on Sunday morning." And he had this knee board for me and some fins. And he said, "Hey, you can keep the knee board for a while, but I want the fins back." So we went out, caught a few waves, came back in, got pounded on the beach. I wasn't used to having fins on. And, I just thought to myself, Jesus Christ, man, I never met anybody like you in my life, man. Made a big impression on my life, as well as a lot of other people here. And I love you, man.
Yeah, my name's Corky Kessler, and when I was about 12 or 13 years old, I first met Bill, and I was just a Grom and PB, but I had a couple logs before I finally got a real surfboard, and I worked the paper route for an entire year, saving money to buy a new surfboard, and Bill was working at George's Surf Shop on Mission Boulevard, and told me there was this Hanson Master in the rack, looked just like the one in that picture in Surfer Magazine of you at Blacks. It was like the selling point. But thanks for overcharging me $20 on that, Bill. And I've always looked up to you, as well as my little brother who couldn't be here today, but much love for my first real brand new surfboard with a gloss and everything, man. Yeah.
Sorry. All right, it's time for the ladies. And Bill really is a ladies' man, and I really didn't know that about him when I first met him. He looked like pretty much all the other grumpy old guys at the shores. And, but gosh, it seems like every event that we'd have, a potluck or anything, Bill would show up with the hottest woman on his, on his arm, and I was always so impressed. And, it's amazing to me that Bill has so many friends, because in the lineup, I've heard him say just the most outrageous things to people. And you know, I was kind of a new surfer. I was around 40 and Bill was around 50, and I would just be out there trying to mind my own business, and Bill would be literally yelling at people 100 yards away and, you know, like shaming them or saying, I can't even repeat some of the things I've heard. And it's amazing that several years later, when I started to get involved with La Jolla Shore Surfing Association, that we would have Bill as our beach marshal on the beach, and we would give him a bullhorn. And I'm amazed that we never got sued for defamation, but luckily, mostly he was just shouting at the kooks in the water who were, you know, infringing on the surf zone. And we thank you for all those years of shaming us and, you know, making us feel good in the lineup. And I love the fact that you love women so much. I've never heard him say anything unkind to any woman at the shores, including myself. As a matter of fact, when we're on land and we're near, he usually calls most of us HOT hot, and many of us are not, but Bill just loves women, and I love you for that, Bill.
Yeah!
And one more thing. It takes a very special personality to get the Shores Surfing Association and, you know, many of the shore surfers here to celebrate Bill in collusion with the fabulous Wind and Sea Surf Club. And so I want to thank the Surf Club for hosting a great event. And Bill, just because of you, you're the only person that could, you know, mix in both worlds. And I thank you for that too.
Hi, I'm Jeff Mullis.
Hey, Jeff.
I'm Jeff Mullis, and Bill and I have been friends for quite some time. Days of motorcycles and surfing and all that. And a couple quick stories. We went to the fair one time and hung out with a bunch of our friends. We got a little drunk. We were probably 20 or 19 or something like that. So we got a little drunk, and we were drinking hard cider. And after finally getting home, you know, driving down the highway and the old 101 and all that stuff, and we finally get done and fall out of the car, and I go, I'm never gonna drink that shit again. Pink Bod says, me either. Well, I never have, and I don't think he ever has either, because it produced a serious hangover. And then back to Blacks. We're gonna go down there and surf it one morning, really good, clean, nobody out. And it's probably 7 o'clock. We go up to the gate to stick the key in the lock, and it didn't fit. Going, what the hell? You know, it worked yesterday. And so we got the, we call, he goes over, we get the phone. Nobody has cell phones in those days. He goes over and he gets to the pay phone and calls UCSD and talks to the head of the cops and says, I'm Dr. Andrews. I'm down here from the UC Santa Barbara campus, and I can't get my key to fit. Oh, well, we'll send somebody right over there. And I send the cop over there, and he opens the gate, says, what time you guys gonna be done? So I'll give us a couple, 3 hours, and, you know, try to get back here by, you know, 10:30, 11. And he goes, well, I don't know if I can make it. You just have to come up and wait. So we go down and surf it, and it gets really good, and the wind starts blowing, and we come back up, and we're waiting, and on the way up, well, actually as we're starting to leave, because everybody got out of the water at the same time because of the wind, there's two other guys down there that we knew that were like officials at UCSD. It was a doctor and somebody, well, I think maybe Ricky Grigg was in on that. And they're going, how did you guys get down here? Well, you haven't met Dr. Andrews, have you? And they're going, shit, really? He goes, could you give us a ride back up? And we're going, well, you got to stand on the back bumper of the car and hold on, and you put the boards inside, and they're going, we get up to the top, and the cop shows up and lets us out, and everybody laughed like hell, and never forget those kind of deals. Perfect surf as usual, Blacks, and just a great time. Anyway, good seeing you again, Billy boy. Take care. All right, love you.
Yeah.
Billy's got a list over here, and you can sign your name up, and we're going to have another printing of T-shirts because they really are cool. If you haven't seen them, take a look at them. They're really awesome. So, another speaker? Yeah, come on up here. It's a lot of fun. It's good to have a mic in your hand. You're actually in control when you got the mic.
Uncle Billy. The first time I met Bill Andrews was I was in the 9th grade, and I paddled out at Black's on one of my first surfboards I ever made. And Bill was out in the water, and the first thing he said to me was, "Hey kids, stay the hell out of the way." Scared the crap out of me. That was the first time I met Bill. The second time I met Bill, I'd just gotten back from Hawaii. I'd lived over there for 15 years. I'd just gotten divorced and I was a mess. And Bill took me under his wing and reintroduced me to surfing in San Diego. At my house, he will always be Uncle Billy, and we love him to death.
This one's going to be hard for me, but I'm going to try and get through it, Bill. A couple weeks ago, I got a call from Strata. We kept in touch with each other over the years. And this morning, I got a text at 3 o'clock in the morning from John Close. And he had heard about this day with BA today, all the way onto Kauai and Big Island. And he told me, "Mike, you have to get in front of the microphone and tell him how much me and Larry love him." So Bill, from Kauai, from Maui, and from those brothers, they loved you, man. And I love you too.
So about 6 months ago, I was down at the I think it was the Paralympics World Championship, and I was wearing a Wind and Sea Surf Club Not Guilty t-shirt. And I walked up to BA, and he said, "Where the hell did you get that shirt?" And actually, I got it from my roommate, C-Pro. And a lot of the guys, Myers, you guys all know the story, the backstory on it. Anyways, he's like, "Man, I got to get one of those." So I made a few calls, and we ended up printing up a bunch of Wind and Sea Surf Club Not Guilty t-shirts. And, you know, I was pretty stoked to be able to give one, even though Bill will always claim that he's guilty. But in the end, he's not guilty.
I don't have a lot of stories to tell about Bill. He knows why. Some of you know why. But I have one story. I saw him coming down the road there. I had my camera up and I'm taking pictures all around. Look for him on YouTube. And I said, "Hey, Bill." He said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I wasn't sure he knew who I was. So I said, "It's Barry." He saw, "Hey, Barry, I like your writing. And there could be no better story in the world for me than to have someone I admire so much, someone who's done such terrible things in his life, to say that to me." And I met him when I was in junior high school. Off and on I'd see him, but due to the character that I had and the character that he had, we didn't interact very much. So Bill, thank you from the bottom of my heart for filling it today. I love you.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Chris, and I met Bill with my mom when I was like 12 years old,
And I went to school with Roper and Ryan and Ted Smith and all these guys, and they were already surfed. They were already good, you know, and I was just a big kook. Roper called me two-step. And anyway, so I went with my mom. I didn't know what I was doing, and Bill sold me my very first surfboard. It was a Surfboard Australia. And I had that board for a little while, and we had a new house up on the hill, and we were having these landscapers do the work, and we left the garage door open, and that board got stolen. Yeah, these landscapers took the board. So anyways, I went back down there, and I got another board. And I remember, I think the next board I got, I had Skip Fry shape it for me. It was a 6'2" swallowtail. And all I can say is, Bill, thank you. You got me, you started me on the life of youth. I'll live forever. And you know, I'll remember you forever, Bill.
Good job, Billy!
Brian. Thank you.
All right, Brian.
All right, everybody, this is Bill's son, Brian.
Don't look like him.
Hi, everybody. We're truly humbled. We're truly humbled by today. This is incredible to see all of Dad's friends here and legends from our childhood that we've heard so much about. I know this is very meaningful for Dad. He didn't want today to be about him. He wanted it to be about all of you and about the beach and how special it is that you've been able to live this life. And I think that that's a real testament to all of you. We're truly just blown away by this. It's crazy, so thank you. I got my brother Eric here, son number 2, my brother Chris, who just flew out last night from New York, my mom Kathy, Dad's brother Bob is here, and as well as his sister Patty. Dad, we had a lot of fun times growing up. We loved being in the water early, whether it was learning to surf, not so good, or fishing, spear fishing all through Blacks in this area. We had just tons of fun and respect. He would always teach us about the ocean and about the wind and the currents, and that transcended to the baseball field or the tennis courts. To always be aware of the surroundings. He's a great teacher. We would have fun times coming to La Jolla after a rain. There'd be a lot of water in the gutters, and he would go jamming through the gutters, splashing tourists on the sidewalk. That was one of our favorite times. As we got older, he gave us advice like never get married, never have kids. Not really sure, still confused by that one, but I know he loves us dearly. And since then, we have all gone to get married and have kids. He's got 6 wonderful grandchildren. I know he's really proud to be a grandpop. So I'll just close by saying again, thank you. We're blown away. These stories are precious, and just really humble. Dad, we love you.
Yeah, Bill.
Okay, one more. Come on up, Mike. One more, and after this, we're going to hear another set from Jetpack Mojo. So get your dancing shoes on. Hopefully that carne asada has worked its way through, and you're ready to get on the floor here. There's still food back there and drinks, so we're hanging out here as long as anybody wants to. So do that as soon as we get this last speaker dancing from Jetpack Mojo.
Okay, hi, I'm Mike Brown. Eric interviewed his dad for one of my AP US History projects about 15 years ago. I read this story to my students every year. So I want to read it to everybody here. I graduated from La Jolla High School in 1962. At that time, gaining knowledge and experience concerning civil rights were not a high priority on my to-do list. My concerns were finding waves and babes. I had much better luck finding the former than the latter. In the summer of 1964, during San Diego's traditional June gloom and zero surf time, a friend of mine and I decided to make a surf trek to Florida. At that time, we were pretty hot surfers, sponsored by Gordon Smith Surfboards, so the trip was scheduled to be a surf adventure as well as the opportunity to do some sales and promotions for GNS. We blasted off in Nick's 1959 VW bus headed for Jacksonville, Florida. No plans, no real destination. We heard there was surf in Jacksonville. It was a straight shot from San Diego. In the 60s, at least in California, there was a fraternity of surfers you could count on for help if necessary. The important thing to note is that in La Jolla in the early 60s, we had a very small minority population. Perhaps there were a total of 10 minorities at La Jolla High School at the time. And as I remember, they were all accepted as equals. There was no busing, etc. There's no real racial problems. We were not aware of them if there were. Our trip across the country was uneventful. However, as we drove through eastern Texas, our pit stops were marked by the discovery of segregated bathrooms. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time, and whites-only bathrooms were clean, the gas in Texas was cheap, and we were almost to Florida. 5 days after we left La Jolla, we arrived in Jacksonville. Our first few days in Jacksonville were great. The surf was actually pretty good, and we were by far the best surfers within 1,000 miles. Or so we thought so. And the Florida girls alone were worth the trip. I became aware of the extent of segregation at this time in the South. Blacks could not come to white beaches. They had their own schools, separate tables and restaurants, even separate drinking fountains. They were made to sit in the back of the bus, and even now I was beginning to take notice of segregation. However, as in La Jolla, much more important than civil rights were the waves and the babes. After a few days at Jacksonville's beach break, a lot like the shores, we decided to drive to Daytona Beach, about 150 miles south of Jacksonville. Again, we just blasted off, and the waves in Daytona were rumored to be better than that of Jacksonville's. Plus, there was supposed to be a surf shop there owned by an ex-California guy. Halfway between Jacksonville and Daytona Beach is St. Augustine Beach. Of course, Nick and I had only read the comments and sports sections of the local papers, so naturally we were not aware that in 1964, St. Augustine, Florida was becoming one of the country's hot spots for the civil rights movement. The Coast Highway on Florida runs parallel to the ocean, much like Highway 1 between Santa Monica and Malibu. Nick and I spotted waves and as we entered St. Augustine. We stopped the van and ran for the surf. We ignored the signs that warned that only non-whites could use this beach. The waves were good and the signs were worth only a laugh, and they seemed to keep the crowds down. To the participants in a civil rights march that day, however, our surfing at that beach was not a laughing matter. Nick and I enjoyed the waves with no other surfers in sight. A crowd began to gather on the beach, and they were not there for surfing lessons. Nick and I soon became the catalyst, as well as unwilling participants in one of the largest and most violent race riots of the time. The crowd on the beach, some were marchers in the civil rights demonstration, all were black, treated us just as if they had been caught surfing at a whites-only beach. The difference here, however, was that there were white activists and the police, all white, who had been disrupting the march, and they were on the beach also. Nick and I were dragged out of the water and the fights began. We were pounded appropriately for our actions, and this brought the police and the whites into the battle. A huge race riot began, and Nick and I were arrested for inciting a riot. However, we were never charged and quickly released. The riot was filmed by television crews, and my mother was able to see her son on television, prefaced by the voiceover that California surfers were the instigators of the riot. This was my violent introduction to the civil rights movement. I was primarily guilty of being stupid and unaware of what was going on around me. In La Jolla, I was insulated from civil rights issues. I wasn't anti-minority, but I certainly had not participated actively in civil rights issues. In Florida, the lines were clearly drawn. Justifications for segregation were based solely on Southern history, skin color, and racial stereotypes. Nick and I were also stereotyped because we were surfers from California, were accused of being surfing beatniks, long-haired drug dealers, etc. And after the St. Augustine adventure, a couple of other similar events, all in this lifetime on Earth together. I became interested in history and other cultures and religions. I took classes in college from both liberal and conservative instructors, including Angela Davis. If I had not gone to Florida in the 60s, I don't know how enlightened I would be now, but I'd like to think that my introduction to civil rights and real life issues was positively influenced by my experiences in the South in the 60s. And that's how I feel about being on this planet with you, Bill. And so thank you. You're awesome. Thanks, Eric.
One more, Rusty. Yeah!
Testing. Okay, I started surfing blacks in the fall of '67. And one of the first times I was down there, I saw this van parked on the beach in front of the best peak of the day. And I kind of blew my mind because I had to hoof it all the way from La Jolla Shores. And after a couple of times, I wanted to know who this guy was. And I found out it was Bill Andrews. You don't know it's Bill Andrews? He was on the cover of Surfer Magazine a year or two ago.
Cover yeah!
So when I finished high school in '71, the first thing I wanted to do was get a job at PB Surf Shop. I wanted to be Bill. And I went down there and hung out, and he ignored me. And I was there for about a month, and I started hanging things up, straightening things out, and I kept begging Bill for a job. And finally, he caved in after about a month or so of working for free. And so I worked there for a little while, and then I got a job shaping out at the GNS factory. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you so much, Bill, for starting my career.
Yeah, Rusty! Yeah! Yeah, Rusty!
Okay, somebody suggested that maybe we let Bill say something, and I'm like, man, give Bill the mic. I don't know if that's really a good idea to give him the microphone or not. So I guess we'll give him a chance to say something here. So we're gonna. You got to scoot that scooter up a little bit, though. Help us out here.
You're up, Bill.
Okay, all bets are off. I'm not sure this is a good idea, but Bill, do we have a chance to turn this thing off if we need to?
We got a plug to pull.
We got a plug? Okay, good deal. Okay, here you go. Mr. Bill Andrews, folks.
Nobody has any place to go, do they?
I can do it, yeah, if you don't mind. I want to preface this with obviously the thank you to everybody, but I want all my La Jolla Shores friends to know that if you want to surf Windansea, today's your day. Today is your hall pass day. It'll never happen again. So take advantage of it now while you can. And I just wanted to say that La Jolla is one of these rare places in the world where people come here and they don't leave, or you're born here and you don't leave. These guys, the surf guys from here can surf anywhere in the world, exotic surf places all over the world, and they come back here. It shows the beauty of this stretch from Blacks to South Bird, which is unique than from any other place in the world. And for surf guys, you've got phenomenal artists and surfers and shapers and photographers. This is the epicenter of this surf and art and life and community. And I can say to the young guys, don't screw it up. Be really thankful for what you have. And for the parents, you've done a good job. And hopefully no one ends up in jail today. Which more than once I did, but not in the last few years anyway. So yeah, that's all my fault. Just keep up the good work, guys. Keep the beach clean, and don't let anybody take this away from you. And a little bit of localism goes a long way, by the way. So.
Yeah, Bill!
Yay, BA.